Have you ever felt lonely, ignored, or betrayed by people who claimed to be your friends? Have you stopped to think about why some people disappear from your life when you need them the most? The truth is harsh, but it needs to be said. You didn't lose friends. The truth is, they were never really your friends. You were just manipulated. They used your trust as a tool and disappeared when it no longer served their interests. And no one understood this like Machiavelli, a thinker who said, "Men are guided by two main impulses, love or fear." He knew that many times what seems like affection is merely strategy. Today, you will discover the truth behind these false relationships, understand why you were deceived, and most importantly, how to avoid falling for this game again. Oh, and before we continue, make sure your notification bell is on, because today you're going to open your eyes and see people for who they really are. Most of the people you call friends are not by your side for who you truly are, but for what you can offer. It's hard to swallow, but the truth is that many of your friends are not with you out of love or loyalty. They're there out of convenience, not because they really care about you. They praise you, support you, say nice things when you're useful to them, but disappear when you no longer have anything to offer. Who hasn't been in a situation like this? You felt important, loved, surrounded by people. But when you went through a tough time or couldn't help like before, you realized it was all just a facade. That's not friendship. That's opportunism. It sounds harsh, but the truth is that many people around you are only there out of self-interest. They know how to take advantage of your emotions, your weaknesses, and even your goodwill. They don't treat you like a real friend, but like a tool. When you're no longer useful, they discard you without remorse. We tend to confuse attention with affection, right? It even seems that for a moment, the attention we receive is a sign that we are being loved. But most of the time, that kind of attention is just a strategy. And someone who understood this masterfully was Machiavelli. In his work, The Prince, he talks about how people, especially those who hold power, know how to manipulate others' emotions and actions for their own benefit. Machiavelli knew that in order to maintain control and achieve what they wanted, people had to be smart enough to know exactly how to manipulate situations to their advantage. He believed that human behavior could be manipulated by those with the power to do so strategically and subtly. You're not the only one who has fallen into this trap. We've all been targets of people who pretend to be friends to get something in return. Machiavelli, in his analysis of human nature, always said that power is the engine of actions, and those people you call friends are, in a way, playing the same game. They praise you, surround you, make you feel like you're part of something great, but all of it is part of their game. Have you ever caught yourself wondering how many people you called friends were actually just waiting for the right moment to manipulate you? What would you do now, knowing that their affection may never have been real? Comment below. Have you ever noticed signs of manipulation in someone you trusted? Share your experience, because your story might help someone going through the same thing. Machiavelli's greatest insight was understanding that, in many cases, relationships are based on a trade of interests. It's not about true affection, but about a power game, where every action has a price. If you are someone who has something to offer, you will be surrounded. When you have nothing left to give, the friendship ends. And what hurts is realizing that the only real thing in all of this was what you felt. The feeling of having cared, of having given your best, of having believed that people were by your side for something more than interest. But in the end, what was at stake was never true friendship. It was your ability to be useful, to make those people feel good. It seems that some people's love has a price, doesn't it? And when you can no longer pay that price, the relationship falls apart. Machiavelli explained that in a world where actions are driven by self-interest, you need to be alert to who really cares about you and who is only by your side out of convenience. But the most complicated part is that we start believing that this is normal. We grow up with the idea that friends are just like that people are selfish, and that all of us are, in some way, playing the same game. When you start to realize that true friendship is something rare, it's as if you're breaking apart inside. You feel the pain of disappointment, of being deceived. But that pain is a chance to grow, to realize that you can surround yourself with more genuine people who are with you for who you are, not for what you can offer. As Machiavelli said, the truth is that people rarely act from the heart. Most act with a strategic calculation of how they can benefit from situations. And we, in our naivety, end up falling into this web of lies, believing that others are doing things out of love and friendship, when in reality, it's all just a piece of manipulation. Manipulators don't shout, they don't make a scene. They know that the power of manipulation lies in words and subtle actions. They whisper instead of yelling. They make you feel like something is wrong with you, when in reality, you just haven't realized the game that is being played. And the worst part is that in the process, they manage to make you believe you're the one acting wrong, that you're the one at fault. They make you feel guilt, need, responsibility, all to ensure you never realize what is really happening. And when you finally do, it's already too late. They feed off your empathy, your kindness, your ability to care for others, and they use all of that against you. Have you ever gone through this? Someone praised you excessively, made you feel important, and you gave yourself to that moment? Well, that's just the beginning. The praise you received wasn't a genuine act of affection. It was merely a tool to create a false sense of trust, to manipulate your perception and bring you closer to them. Every compliment you received, every sweet word, hid a motive. They wanted you to lower your guard, to give more of yourself, to make yourself available for whatever they needed. Every hug, every affectionate gesture was masking a hidden intention. What seemed like a friendship, a genuine exchange of affection, was in fact wrapped in strategies and manipulation tactics. Machiavelli, in his reflections on power, always spoke of the ability to manipulate others' emotions to achieve goals. He understood how human emotions could be controlled, manipulated, and even used as a tool to dominate people. If this video made you reflect on the people around you and helped you see things differently, leave your like. Every like is a sign that we are on the right path, bringing content that truly speaks to you. It costs nothing and makes all the difference so that more people can see the truth. In his work, The Prince, he analyzed how leaders who mastered emotional manipulation were the most successful, as they understood the weaknesses of their subjects and knew how to exploit them. When you feel loved by someone, you give yourself body and soul, trust completely. But if you look closely, you'll see that these manipulators are never really in your life out of love. They don't want your friendship, your affection. They want your time, your energy, your effort, your resources. They want something from you, and when they no longer need it, they simply disappear. You were used, not loved. The affection you received was a disguise, a mask hiding the true intention. Deep down, what the manipulator seeks is control. And someone who understood this very well was Machiavelli. He knew that when you control someone's emotions, you also control their thoughts, decisions, and even their actions. And that's what manipulators do to you. They control your emotions so that you take actions that benefit them. They know how much you care, and that's why they play with your feelings. They don't attack you directly. They involve you, put you at the center of their game, and in the end, make you believe that you gave yourself willingly. In reality, you were being guided the entire time. This manipulative behavior is much more effective than shouting or violence. It's based on a subtle understanding of human nature, something Machiavelli called cunning. He knew that to maintain power, a leader should be able to manipulate the emotions of their followers so discreetly that they wouldn't even realize it. This leads us to wonder, How many times have you been manipulated without noticing? How many times have you felt guilty for something you didn't do? Or felt responsible for a problem that actually had nothing to do with you? These are the effects of emotional manipulation. They create a web of dependence and control in which you don't realize how manipulated you are until it's too late. You were chosen, but not out of love. You were chosen because manipulative people saw you as an easy target. Someone empathetic, someone kind, someone who doesn't want to see anyone suffer. And that's exactly what they're looking for. It's not your strength that attracts them. It's your emotional vulnerability. It's your tendency to always put others first. It's your fear of hurting, your desire to be accepted, your hope that others have the same heart as you. And that's where the subtle cruelty begins. These people don't value you for who you are. They measure you by how much they can take from you. And when you start to notice, to question, to say no, they change. They don't attack you directly. Instead, they play the victim. They say you've changed, that you're cold, that you're drifting away. But what's really happening is that you've stopped being controllable. Machiavelli once said, "Men forget more easily the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance." And in this case, the inheritance is the emotional control they had over you. They don't miss you. They miss how easily they could manipulate you. They miss your availability, your quick forgiveness, your easy guilt. That's what bothers them, not your absence, but your autonomy. It's hard to accept that someone was only by your side out of convenience, but it's liberating to realize that you weren't the one who failed. You weren't stupid or weak. You were human. You trusted because you have a clean heart. You believed because you understand the value of being there for someone. But the truth is that manipulative people aren't drawn to feelings. They're drawn to opportunity. They don't think about connection, only about advantage. And that advantage comes from your loyalty, from your patience, from your fear of losing those who seem close. Machiavelli understood that the foundation of power is not brute strength, but subtle manipulation. And the people around you who acted like that weren't friends. They were strategists, masters in the art of seeming good while twisting reality. In their favor, you were chosen because you were predictable, because you always said yes, because you swallowed your tears, accepted the excuse, chased after them even when you knew you were being ignored. And that kind of behavior over time becomes routine. You start thinking it's normal to carry the relationship on your back, that it's your duty to keep everything standing, that maybe the problem is you, but it's not. The problem was never that you cared. It was that others didn't care about you. The problem was, you gave everything hoping for the bare minimum and still ended up blamed. Manipulators don't lose you with pain. They discard you calmly. Because, as Machiavelli said, men in general judge more with their eyes than with their hands. They make it seem like everything is fine until you stop being useful. Healing begins when you understand that. When you stop asking why they disappeared, why they changed. When you realize the problem wasn't you being good, it was being good to people who were never good to you. Machiavelli also said that to dominate one must know the other's weakness. They knew yours, the fear of being alone, and they used that to the end. But now you know, now you see. And when clarity arrives, manipulation ends, because the game only continues as long as you don't know you're playing. If this message made you rethink your relationships and opened your eyes in any way, subscribe to the channel. There's still so much that needs to be said, and I want you here to hear it. Your journey for more clarity, strength, and truth is only beginning. Machiavelli saw friendship as something useful, never sacred. He didn't romanticize human relationships. In his most famous work, The Prince, he stated that it is better to be feared than loved. And the reason is simple. Fear is predictable, but love is fragile, unstable, and can disappear at the first sign of difficulty. Machiavelli wasn't cold. He was realistic. He understood long before any of us that people act out of self-interest, that compliments, promises, and declarations of friendship are often just disguises for manipulation. And that may sound harsh, but it's liberating once you finally understand it. You start to see who is truly by your side and who is merely using you. Machiavelli taught that in order to maintain power, one must let go of naivety. And this also applies to our personal relationships. When you realize that many people around you don't care about you, they care about what you offer, everything changes. You stop trying to please those who will never value you. You stop begging for attention and start demanding respect. And that's not arrogance, it's emotional survival. Some people are only in your life because they know you would never say no. And guess what? They count on that. They exploit your kindness as a strategy. And when you begin to set boundaries, they call you cold, selfish, ungrateful. But the truth is, they're just upset because they lost control. As Machiavelli would say, men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Replace inheritance with your energy, your help, your attention, and you'll see how those words still make perfect sense today. Have you noticed how some people disappear the moment you start prioritizing yourself? That's a sign they never loved you. They only benefited from your presence. When the usefulness ends, the interest vanishes. And that needs to be seen. With clarity, not sadness. Machiavelli didn't preach hatred. He preached discernment. He believed that anyone who wants to survive in a world full of appearances must learn to see beyond the smiles, to see the game behind the gesture, to realize that in many cases coldness is protection, not cruelty. And now that you're seeing clearly, it's time to act. Ask yourself, who really benefits from your loyalty? Who only reaches out when they want something? Who makes you feel guilty just for trying to protect yourself? It's time to stop giving energy to those who only drain you. It's time to cut ties with those who confuse affection with control. Machiavelli would say, the first impression one gets of a ruler and his intelligence is by looking at the people who surround him. Now think, who's surrounding you? If you're surrounded by those who demand, pressure, manipulate, and disconnect you from yourself, maybe it's time to change everything, not out of revenge, but for sanity, for respect, for self-love. Because in the end, no one will truly value you if you don't value yourself first. You didn't lose friends. You lost manipulators. They were never on your side. They were just in your shadow. When you were useful, they smiled. When you needed them, they vanished. That's not coldness, it's clarity. Now you see. Machiavelli, with his surgical coldness, already said that human beings act out of self-interest, and those who fail to see this end up becoming disposable pieces in other people's games. He didn't speak of friendship as a sacred bond, but as a tool of power. Because for Machiavelli, human relationships were a battlefield and affection a disguised weapon. You trusted, you gave your all, but they weren't loving you, they were using you. And when you stopped being convenient, they turned cold, absent, and even cruel. The worst part is that you blamed yourself. You thought you had done something wrong. But the truth is this, you simply stopped serving their interests. This was never about you. It was always about them. And now it's time to wake up, time to rebuild and protect your peace, because maturity isn't becoming cold. It's knowing where to place the warmth of your heart. Machiavelli wasn't against love. He just warned that blind trust invites suffering. He saw the world as it is, not as we wish it were. And this view, though harsh, can be liberating. Your true friends won't disappear during your hard times. They won't make you feel guilty for being who you are. They won't use your flaws as ammunition. True friendship is partnership, not emotional blackmail. And if you have to hurt yourself to keep someone close, then that person was never yours. Recognizing that is painful, but necessary. You don't need people who drain, manipulate, or take advantage. You need those who add, support, and respect. As Machiavelli said, men judge more by their eyes than by their hearts. And perhaps that's why so many are fooled by appearances. But now, you've learned to see beyond what's shown. Yet something's still missing. What will you do with this knowledge now? Will you keep feeding those who only use you, or will you cut ties and invest in friendships that truly add value? You are not alone. Many people go through this, and sometimes realizing we are sabotaging ourselves is the first step to change everything. Manipulation is a trap disguised as love, friendship, and care. Don't be fooled. Life is too short to waste time with those who only want to take the best of you without giving anything in return. Don't let yourself be manipulated. Don't accept crumbs when you can have a feast of respect and reciprocity. Genuine love doesn't demand, doesn't manipulate. It's built on respect, trust, and the freedom to be who you are. Now is the time to reflect on what truly matters. The people around you, and the kind of energy you allow into your life. You deserve nothing less than honesty and loyalty. Open your eyes, recognize false friendships. Wake up to the reality Machiavelli warned us about. People who pretend to care are only interested in you as long as you're useful. After that, when you're no longer needed, they become distant and strange. It's time to value those who value you. Recognize your own worth. And always remember, those who truly love you will never make you feel insecure about it. They will be there at the right moment when you need it most. When you realize this, you start to break free from manipulation and begin to live a life with more authenticity and inner peace. The peace that comes from knowing who you are and who is truly by your side. You no longer need to cling to relationships that drain your energy. Cut the evil at its root. Don't let those who don't deserve your time and dedication keep occupying your space. Free yourself, you deserve more, and life will show you that with every step you take toward your own growth. If this message touched you, don't leave empty-handed. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Is there someone in your life who seems present but only shows up when they want something? Have you ever felt like you were being manipulated while thinking you were loved? Leave a comment. Your story might help others wake up too, and remember, they were just using you.